Can you imagine a bird so common that its flocks literally blotted out the sun for hours? We're talking about a sea of birds stretching for hundreds of miles across the sky. Now imagine they're all just gone. Well, this is the incredible, true story of the passenger pigeon, its shockingly sudden extinction, and the cutting-edge science that's trying to bring it back. So here's where we're headed. We're going to unravel this century-old mystery, starting with the extinction itself. Then we'll dive into a strange genetic paradox, uncover the fatal flaw in the pigeon's own success, and then we'll get to the really wild part, the ambitious plan to revive the species and, in the process, rebuild an entire ecosystem.
All right, so where does a story like this even begin? Well, not with the future, but way back in the past. See, to really get your head around this audacious plan to bring the passenger pigeon back, you first have to understand just how impossibly huge its disappearance really was.
I mean, we're not talking about a few million birds here. We're talking 3 to 5 billion. By some counts, 1 out of every 4 birds in North America was a passenger pigeon. People describe the flocks as living rivers flowing through the sky, a genuine biological force of nature.
And then, just like that, they were gone. I mean, in the span of a single human lifetime, this incredibly abundant species was completely wiped from the face of the earth. It was this perfect storm of relentless commercial hunting and deforestation that caused the collapse so fast, so complete, it actually kick-started the modern conservation movement. It all ended with a single, solitary bird named Martha, dying all alone in a zoo.
So for more than 100 years, this has been the question that's haunted scientists. Why couldn't at least a few of them, a small population, hang on? Well, it turns out the answer was hidden deep inside the bird's DNA, just waiting for our technology to finally catch up.
And that is exactly where the modern investigation picks up. Scientists like Beth Shapiro and Ben Novak were actually able to sequence the passenger pigeon's entire genome from old museum specimens. It was like reopening a cold case, but at the molecular level.
Okay, so before we get into what they found, we need to quickly wrap our heads around a key concept: genetic diversity. Just think of it as all the different genetic traits floating around in a species. It's the raw material for evolution. And the basic rule of thumb is pretty simple. The bigger the population, the more genetic diversity you should find.
And this is where the mystery just gets deeper. With a population of up to 5 billion birds, scientists expected the passenger pigeon to have a ton of genetic diversity. But when they actually looked at its genome, they found the complete opposite. So how on earth could a species with so many individuals have so little genetic variety?
This puzzle is actually so common in genetics that it has its own name, Lewontin's paradox. And the passenger pigeon might just be the most extreme example anyone has ever found. Solving this paradox was the key to figuring out both its incredible success and its catastrophic failure.
And it turns out, this whole genetic paradox wasn't a flaw in the bird at all. It was a feature. That low diversity wasn't a sign of weakness. No, it was actually a key to their incredible success. And, weirdly enough, a sign of their impending doom. See, with billions of birds, natural selection was this ruthlessly efficient force. It just zipped through the population, getting rid of bad mutations and supercharging any gene that helped them thrive in those massive flocks. This intense pressure essentially streamlined their genome. It made them a kind of superspecies, perfectly engineered for one thing and one thing only: living in huge numbers.
And right there, that is the tragic irony of this whole story. The very things that made them so successful in the billions, their social behaviors, how they bred, those things probably became evolutionary dead ends once humans just decimated their population. They were specialists in being numerous, and they lost a genetic flexibility to survive when they were suddenly few.
But believe it or not, the story doesn't end there. Understanding why they went extinct has actually paved the way for one of the most ambitious conservation projects ever dreamed up, led by a group called Revive and Restore.
So how are they going to do it? The plan is just this stunning mix of ancient DNA and super modern tech. First, they sequenced the full genome from those 100-year-old museum birds. Then, they compared it to its closest living cousin, the band-tailed pigeon, to figure out which genes made it unique. Now, using CRISPR, they're literally editing those genes into the band-tailed pigeon's DNA. And the big goal? To hatch a new generation of passenger pigeons, or something really, really close, sometime in the 2030s.
Now, it is really important to understand this isn't Jurassic Park. We're not talking about creating a perfect, 100% identical clone. That's not really possible. The goal is to create what's called an ecological proxy, basically a modern bird, a modified band-tailed pigeon, that looks, acts, and most importantly, functions just like a passenger pigeon did.
And that word, functions, that's the key to this whole project.
Because this isn't just about satisfying scientific curiosity. The real ultimate goal here is ecological restoration on a massive scale.
You see, passenger pigeons weren't just living in the forest. In a way, they were the forest's architects. Their massive flocks acted like a controlled storm, breaking branches, churning up the soil, leaving behind this wave of fertilizer. This constant disruption and renewal created a really dynamic, healthy ecosystem. That is the true goal of this project, to bring back not just a bird, but a vital force of nature.
So, this incredibly ambitious plan, it really pushes us to think bigger. We have to look beyond just this one bird and ask, what does this technology really mean for the future of conservation itself?
The techniques that they're developing for the passenger pigeon are creating this revolutionary genetic rescue toolkit. And this isn't just about the past, it's about right now. Scientists are already applying these same tools to help critically endangered species that are still with us, animals like the black-footed ferret and Przewalski's horse, giving them a much-needed lifeline.
And so the story of the passenger pigeon leaves us with this really profound question. It's a tale of unimaginable loss, a brilliant scientific mystery, and now a future where the line between what is lost forever and what can be restored is getting, well, really blurry. It forces all of us to reconsider what extinction even means anymore.